Hello, everyone. Welcome to my week 4 discussion. Thank you in advance for watching. Here we're really starting to see the modernization of administration theory. So let's go on. Today's agenda, we'll be talking about Waldo's revisiting of his earlier work, as well as McGregor's theory of X and Y theories, and Lindblom's muddling through. I really liked this article by Dwight Waldo. He takes a moment to reflect on one of his early articles, or 20 years prior. He mentions his tone pretty early on, how it was very arrogant, and he felt very like, duh, because he viewed theory so far above the average worker. He goes on to criticize some other studies that have happened since then, but I really like where he looks at efficiency under a magnifying glass. He views efficiency not as a goal or end result, but more like a value that must be balanced. Administrators have to work in like a political sense here to ensure that they don't take efficiency too far. We're not trying to strip down every single objective by just determining inefficiencies or efficiencies. We could automate entire workforces with just current technology, but we need to play that political role. We work for the public sector. We provide jobs for so many people. We can't strip that down by just implementing new databases, new workflows, strictly by giving AI. He goes on to talk about how theories should be looked at like science on page 161. He provides analogies that show science has advanced so much in the 20 years since his first article that often data is changed and it's never fully reconciled. And I think we're starting to see that as we've gotten further into these theories, that while everyone's not necessarily fully off the mark, each one has been built upon. I look at this a lot as the setting up of new army functions. We get on paper that we need a new cyber battalion due to these new efficiencies that we are gaining in the DoD, but we need to make it happen. We need to hit the ground running. So it has to be, it's constantly being improved, the mission of that company. The next theory we cover is Dwight McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y. I think this is where, reading this from the lens of 2025, it's very much a no duh moment. We know that people who enjoy their jobs will benefit from their performance. If people are aligning their goals with their organization's goals, we're going to see much larger payoff. He focuses on the principle of integration, which is that aforementioned principle. When we integrate our goals with our organization's goals. We can see this really in the bureaucracy of the Army. People who score well on the ASVAB, which is the cognitive test you take that determines what role you get in the Army, people who often score higher are more likely to place into jobs that they enjoy, and they're likely to better integrate with the bureaucracy, meaning they're going to align with all the principles, they're going to follow those rules, they're going to live that life of the bureaucratic model. We see this in recruiting and retention. People who score lower on the ASVAB and place into jobs that they typically, there's not a high pride in being in that role. Those are where we see retention issues more than just those cool cyber or the air assault roles. In Charles Lindblom's article about muddling through, he introduces the branch and root theories. The branch method, more often used by administrators, you're building upon a ongoing solution to a problem or a process. You are making very incremental changes based on previous data. The root method is a little bit more abstract and has more issues to it. You've identified your problem, and you are essentially brainstorming new processes or creative ways to address that. This can lead to disagreement on abstract objectives. Going through, when we talk about the branch method, we can see that the consensus of action kind of substitutes the consensus of values, where we can get things done quickly by implementing quick changes. We see this a lot in the Army, where things need to be pushed through, things need to be happen. Everything is always on fire. So if we need to set up a new company, we can establish that company. We get all those people together, and then we've established a very basic mission for them to accomplish. And then when we really look at progressing the status of that unit, we look at all of their problems they're having with their maintenance or the process of which they're getting new missions. Where can we make these incremental adjustments to increase the efficiency and to keep the organization progressing? Thank you for listening to my presentation this week. As always, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Bye.